The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com
We were on a break!
with Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Wednesday, May 18th, 2022, Season 18, Episode number 9. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We're live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. Got my crew, Nick, Amber, and Dave with me. We only have a few more shows here before we get a little bit of a break before training camp, but we're already talking about training camp, so you guys get ready. There'll be lots of storylines to follow throughout our time out in Oxnard this year. We'll be back to normal. I think Amber might be with us a little bit. Obviously, Dave and Nick are going to be there. There's no other place that they could be, but got a lot to do.
Love hearing that from my boss.
Yeah, I mean, like
Got a lot to do.
Nobody's told me anything, so that's great.
I know we're getting past COVID for the most part.
Yeah,
but still,
yeah.
you're still like, obviously this is happening. It's like, there's
Well,
no obvious.
Except unless something changes with regard to COVID, looks like we might be back onto some normal things. I know I had a conversation about us having our normal spot at training camp. We don't have to be secluded in some trailer like we were last year. And so that's a step in the right direction. I'm excited.
It's just kind of funny to me, just because yesterday I had this conversation with you in a meeting about training camp. You're like, well, I don't know anything. We don't know yet. It's too early. And then you come on the air and you're like, well, it looks like it's going to be back to normal. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
It's like we're talking about training
That
camp.
doesn't have anything to do with the number of people that are going. It just has everything to do with we're going to be there. We will be there. And
Cool.
Well, either way, we've started seeing that here already.
Yeah.
You know, we got access back to normal. You got open locker room. You go in there. That hasn't happened in, 3 years?
Years, yes.
It feels like, yeah.
That was cool. I mean, I was in the locker room the other day, this weekend, and I was kind of surprised that, the guy would stand at his locker and there would be a lot of people around it, and and
nobody had on masks.
No one had, well, not
most people.
Yeah, most people did not. There were some, but for the most part, no.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, let's talk a little bit about the rookie minicamp. There were quite a few media people out here covering the Cowboys this weekend. Let's start first with just some general observations, because I know sometimes when you see guys on draft day or when you've watched the film on them, you kind of have an opinion of them, and then you see them in person and you get a different opinion, whether that be just in their physical appearance or whether that be, seeing them run around a little bit. Let's start first. Let's go around the table. Just give me one general observation of a guy you noticed that something stood out to you about him. Let's start with you, Nick.
Well, I'm probably not a good person to start with here because it's so hard to evaluate this. We know this. So when we were writing something on the site about pick two guys. I picked two guys and had nothing to do with them on the field.
That's fine.
One of them doesn't even practice. Damone Clark.
Yeah.
But I really love what I saw from him as far as being engaged and not he's not practicing, but he is doing as much as you possibly could do. He's standing behind there. He's looking what the linebackers do. He's still taking the same steps. He's like inching to get back in there. From what it sounds like, Britt Brown, the obviously the director of rehab and on the medical side, he likes him. So I mean, he likes him. He's like, this kid, and that's kind of hard to do for him, But he's coming in here. He's ready to go. And I think whenever he does get back, I think he's going to be like he's taking these mental reps. It's good.
Yeah, Amber.
One of the things that I noticed, for the most part in general, just their physique, the body type. That some of these guys, they showed up here with some good amount of muscles, and we see the difference between rookies and year two, the kind of the changes that their body go through. Mm-hmm. But you talk about Tyler Smith, he's a big guy, and his arm is huge and long, and it's impressive to me, because I feel like not every year with every rookies that come in that they look that way. Mm-hmm. That it just looks like they have more built to them. A guy that I really liked a lot, I didn't get to see him much on the field, but off the field, is the receiver. Tolbert. I'm a fan. He's such a cool dude. He's very, very nice. I loved him. I'm rooting for him already. As soon as you get someone with such a good personality and just a good vibe, you instantly become a fan. So I'm looking forward to what he can do. And then, real quick, another guy, I did not get to meet him in person, but Nick did us a favor for Somos Cowboys. He got an interview, got him to speak, but currently he is the only kicker on the team, and that's
Garibay.
Garibay.
Oh, sorry.
Jonathan Garibay.
Okay.
Yeah. Come on, get it right, Nick.
Jonathan Garibay. No, but he's a Mexican descent, so obviously we're gonna be putting a lot of stuff out on the Somos part. But just really cool to see. I haven't seen him kicking and stuff, and that surprises me that he's currently the only kicker on the team, and the fact that they cut. How do you say his last name? Nick. I'm always scared to say the last name.
Nagar.
Yes, they cut him. So that was kind of. I don't know, it just caught me off guard. I didn't expect that to happen. Not sure why exactly that happened.
Say his name for me again.
Garibay.
Garibay. Okay, good.
But you can say it in English too. Garibay.
I prefer it like
Jonathan
that.
Garibay.
Garibay.
It was
No, that's not it.
it was a clerical move to fit somebody else onto the roster. Like they, in all likelihood, will bring Nagar back or somebody else. Like they're not just going to hand the kicker job to Jonathan.
Yeah.
So,
But he has a shot to
absolutely. I mean,
yeah.
I would call him the favorite right now. But like, there will be another kicker at camp, even if he's not here right now. I agree with what you said at the top, AG. I feel dumb for how impressed I was by Tyler Smith because, like, he played left tackle at a high level in major college football. Like, you have to be an athlete to do that. But I was pretty impressed by his athleticism. Like, he hasn't played guard since he was in high school. He didn't really play tackle at all. Like, he spent all of rookie camp at a new position. And, yeah, and again, like, I hope people understand, like, this isn't even like a training camp practice. Like, the roster's limited. You've only got like 10 offensive linemen. Like, you in a lot of spots, you don't even have enough players to have a real practice. Like, good luck evaluating the quarterbacks and receivers at those practices because it was tough to watch. Like, two quarterbacks who weren't even signed, like they were tryout guys, windy conditions. Just, I learned nothing about actual football, but watching Tyler Smith, I was like, okay, this guy's a lot more graceful of an athlete than I gave him credit for. Because you hear like 6'5", 325, and you're like, oh, he's kind of a big sloppy guy. Not really. Like, he carries his weight really well for a guy that size. Like, he looks about as fit as you could expect a guy that size to look, with maybe the exception of Tyron Smith, who's an alien.
Yeah.
And I thought he moved around really well. I thought he looked natural. I thought, I was impressed by just the little that I saw from him.
You know, I think to put it all in perspective, I heard this today. This was a conversation that happened between scouts at the practice.
Right. Literally at practice.
At practice the other day.
Yeah.
This conversation happened. And so, real quick, I'll just ask you, Dave, how do you think the quarterbacks looked?
Bad.
Okay, cool. So
real bad.
So this was.
Let's qualify that.
I was standing next to Derek, but anyways, they had those little things that they put up with the holes where they throw the balls. Everything was a mess. I not once did see the ball go in through the hole. But sorry to mess your point.
That does mess up the point actually. But the point was, in this particular conversation, I think it was Tolbert, or I don't know, one of the receivers, but they're watching him, and he's on the outside. He's split out wide. He runs 10 yards, hard cut to the outside, boom, goes to the sideline, and everyone's like, man, that was nice. He looks good, looks smooth in his cut, and all that. Ball comes thrown way behind him, and terrible throw. Probably Dave. Everybody's like, this guy sucks or whatever. And so their scouts are like, yeah, that was a good cut there by the receiver, bad throw. And then other scout that kind of knows the plays a little bit was like, yeah, he ran the wrong route. He ran the wrong route. It was supposed to be a stop. It's supposed to be a 10-yard stop, turn around. The ball probably would have been there, would have been nice, and we might have been like, hey, that's a nice throw, whatever. But like, my point to all that is you don't know what they're doing out there.
Yeah.
They might look like they're going the right way, but they're not. And so it's hard to evaluate anybody because the rookies not only are going up against other rookies, but they don't know anything.
None of them know anything. Yeah.
The quarterbacks did look bad, but there's a little bit of everything. Yeah, like these guys have never practiced together. I'm sure not all the receivers knew what they were doing. Like, literally, I spent most of the 2 days looking at Tyler Smith and Matt Waletzko because they were playing left guard and left tackle. And I was like, okay, well, at the very least, I can sort of get an idea for how these guys move and how they communicate with each other. Because everything else is just a free-for-all of bad throws, bad routes. The wind was really bad on Friday to the point that it was like carrying balls out of bounds that were supposed to be
hot
inside.
Saturday.
Yeah, it
just everything about it was.
And everybody gets all excited, and I get it because this is the first time we've been able to watch something resembling practice, but it's not that,
So you mentioned Waletzko. Tell me what you guys saw from him. I mean, obviously both he and Tyler Smith were working there at guard and tackle. What did you see there?
Saw nothing on the other side of him. I mean, he blocks everything. Like as far as like just he's 6'8". He's huge. He's absolutely massive.
Yeah.
So there's no there won't be any of this like who is that Waletzko? Yeah, of course it's him because he's the one that's
Kind of like Urban. Like you just notice him among the
Yeah.
crowd of Giants. He's the giant in the Giants. Yeah.
But I think so. He's got that, and you knew that just by looking at the paper and looking at his size. But I think from a feet standpoint, I mean, he seems like he moves pretty well for a guy that's carrying that much size.
Yeah, again, I'm not going to say that one didn't surprise me because we saw all the stuff about his athletic testing and how he's one of the most athletic tackles to test in the last 30 years. But he looks like it. Yeah, like he moves really well. Again, when I hear 6'8" offensive tackle, I'm like, okay, if you remember our good buddy Dan Skipper, love Dan, but like this big dude who you're like,
like 6'9"?
he's huge, and you're like, you got the size, but it's tough for you to kick out there and get in the way of some of these guys. But I thought Waletzko moved really gracefully for a guy who's 6'8".
And
Not to say like he was perfect. I think Sam Williams beat him a few times. I thought another big takeaway I had was like Mike McCarthy he said himself, he was like, yeah, Sam Williams, like he got clean into the backfield like 2 or 3 times. It's just a weird thing to hear a coach say because that's the type of stuff we say, like, oh, he won that rep. He beat him on that rep. Like coaches don't usually get into that publicly, but McCarthy
Especially
did.
at this stage when you're talking
but
about
McCarthy
rookie
was
minicamp.
like, yeah, he got clean into the backfield like 2 or 3 times on Friday.
Yeah, this draft class is going to be defined by 2 things. Can Tyler Smith, be a great starter somewhere, whether it be the guard or tackle, if he's going to be that, and can Sam Williams just stay on the field and don't get in trouble, just mature a little bit. And I think he knows that, and everyone knows that because I think athletically he's got it. You could just tell by some of the drills, by some of those things, he's got it, and he always had it. He had it at Ole Miss. It was just some of the other things that dropped him to the second round. But if they can figure that out for him.
So I guess we're calling him Sam now. We're not calling him.
No, he's calling himself Sam, which is
Oh, okay. So back to Sam.
So
not
back
said
to
he.
Sam.
you guys.
I'm all over the place. Y'all keep calling him Sam.
no,
and I'm like,
no, no, no,
I
no.
thought we
This is
had
on
moved to
him.
me.
No, that is a him thing.
Okay, all right.
He said, "Call me D," and then I think he was like, "Ooh, it's weird that a bunch of strangers I've never met are calling me by a name that's reserved for like my people," which I totally get. Like, if somebody like if you call me like by a cute nickname and I don't know you like that, I'm like,
Yeah,
right. Tiny Jim.
Tiny Jim,
Well,
or
that became the people's name for you.
I was gonna Tiny
that's
Jim. I
just-
didn't really have a choice, but like if you call me like Davey and you're not my mom or my girlfriend, like don't call me Davey.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I feel right.
Yeah.
It's like me calling Nick Nicky. Like that just doesn't work.
Yeah.
He hates that, but
so yeah, I
for
think
me, I call you that when I want to.
I think Sam was
we
like
have someone else in our group named Nikki. It causes confusion.
Okay, is that the reason why we're gonna get away from that?
so.
All right.
Yeah, he said you can call me Sam.
We've talked about him. We've talked about Tolbert a little bit. One guy we haven't talked about that I wanted to get some initial impressions on was tight end Jake Ferguson. What'd you guys see there? Anything interesting on the field, off the field?
I just think he
Got a
needs to.
story coming up on him today.
Yeah.
And,
Who's writing?
Rob.
Okay, good.
And basically, him being number 48, and Daryl Johnston was a great blocker, at fullback, and that's one of the things that they want to see if this guy can do. That's why they drafted him. And I think I gotta go read the story, but apparently it's been pressed upon him that number 48 means you better block. And so I think somebody was like,
okay,
don't mess it up, don't mess up the number. I don't remember what it was.
If I was Jake Ferguson, I'd be like, okay, cool. Like, I'm not going to be 48 when the roster's cut down anyway. Like, I'll wear it until September 1st, but
yeah, maybe.
Who in their right mind wants to be 48 if they're not a fullback? Like, I'm moving into 80 the minute it becomes available or whatever. Anyway.
82.
Don't know about that. I just he's coming from Wisconsin. I think he has the know-how and the willingness to do it. That's not what I'm saying, but honestly, my main impression, like a lot of tight ends coming out of college, I'm like, you need some protein shakes and some time in the weight room, buddy. Yeah. It is what it is. He's like 245, 248, something like that. It just, like I said, I'm not questioning his ability, but like that's something with rookies, especially at those types of positions where it's like he will look like a different player this time next year, I'm sure.
I mean, what tight end has ever come in his first year and has been like, this guy's a stud? It's really tough to do, especially the Cowboys haven't drafted a first round tight end since, I don't know, David LaFleur. I mean, and he wasn't that great. Obviously, he got hurt, but like Witten took some time. Yeah, Schultz. I mean, we said it on this show. We didn't think he would be on the team.
Yeah, we were already.
Like Jarwin needed a lot of development.
If you're good enough to come in and ball as a tight end immediately, you're usually a top 20 pick.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure there's an outlier somewhere, but we've talked about it before. Even Travis Kelce needed a year where he really didn't do anything for the Chiefs as a rookie.
Which is even more remarkable how good Kyle Pitts was this year.
Which
just how good he is.
T.J. Hawkinson, Kyle Pitts, those guys go high. And Kyle Pitts wasn't drafted for his blocking ability, obviously.
No, not at all.
And that's the thing. You're asking more of a guy when you're looking for that person to be able to help block in the game. Like, you need those muscle and strength. Like, you can't be just trying to run, escape, catch a ball. Like, now you're looking for someone who has the power to push guys around and hold them down. So that's going to be – we'll see if that happens this year, but it's going to be a challenge.
I still think Sprinkle's going to have, a chance to stick around because nobody's really doing what he does. And it's not great. I mean, they're trying to get better from that, but you still need a true blocking tight end.
Yeah, Sprinkle and throw Sean McCune in there too because he's a similar player to Ferguson, but this will be his third NFL season. You have an advantage of A, knowing what you're doing, and B, he has spent that time in the program. So, I'll be curious because like the ideal scenario is that Ferguson is good enough to grab the backup job right away, but that's a lot easier said than done.
And if Tyler Smith is the guard, which sounds like he will be, and I know this isn't a great plan, but like. When in doubt, Connor McGovern can still provide some jumbo packages for them. They can still do that.
I actually liked when they did that last year. I thought he's pretty good in that kind of role.
I like it too. I just think that it obviously, there's not a lot of versatility out of it because it's not like, like this tight end's going to go out for a pass or, so but you should be able to just line up and run the ball and say, "Stop us." That's what you hope you can get back to.
You tell me you give me a stronger guard, and I put McGovern. Let's say I line him up in the backfield as they were doing a lot last year in those goal line type packages, short yardage type packages. I feel really good about that. I'll run behind that. Give me. You should be able to pick up 3rd and 1 in that kind of scenario.
I would like to think so, man.
Yeah, you would think so, right?
$15 million running back running behind a 300-pound fullback and a 330-pound guard.
You would think you ought to be able to pick up that yard, right? And if you can't, we got some bigger problems here. Real quick before we go to break, I do want to talk about undrafted free agents. I read the other day someone was saying that this might be one of the better undrafted free agent classes the Cowboys have had in a while. Give me just one guy that you guys think may have stood out or that at least you're keeping your eye on as an undrafted free agent type player.
If you don't go first, you could be tough. But I'll let you go first.
No, go first. No, I got a few.
You got it.
I'm a dork.
Well,
mark that, please?
I'm curious who said that, honestly. I haven't really heard that. I don't know who was.
I can't remember where I read it. I read it somewhere. It was an article somewhere.
Obviously it goes into the we'll see category, but every time I looked up the other day watching stuff that I just caught my eye, it was 41. That was the guy, Marquis Bell, and that's the guy the Cowboys gave the most money to.
Position.
Safety.
Okay.
Safety, Florida A&M, and again, it was just just t-shirts and shorts out there, but I thought he did all right.
He's long, and they gave him a $200,000 contract, and I think his guarantee
As an undrafted, wow.
Romo got 10, and I know it's 18, 19 years ago, but Romo
I mean
That's impressive.
That's not all guaranteed. Like but the guarantee was still substantial. Like I'll bet you $20 right now he's on the practice squad if he doesn't make the 53. Like
cutting him.
Yeah, I was about to say you try to cut him to get in the practice squad.
I
You don't know.
I'm
You
not
never
playing
know.
that game again. Dave says it. Dave's right. He says it all the time.
Everybody's got one of those.
We always say there's no way you can get him to the practice squad. And not only does he get cut and not claimed, but then the Cowboys don't even keep him on the practice squad.
I don't think they've ever lost a guy that we were stressed about them losing in the time that I know Danny Amendola. Like I know it's happened, but in my time,
years ago too.
in my time, I don't remember it happening.
Amendola made it back to the practice squad. He
signed elsewhere later.
played
right?
all year, and then the Eagles thought that when they made the playoffs and the Cowboys didn't, that they could sign him and put him on the playoffs. It didn't really work that way. But either way, he never came back to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I think
Safety Bell was the one I remember. He actually played the first game against Houston with us. Do you remember the opener? Remember that?
another safety named Bell.
Jason Bell?
Jason
Wow.
was it? He was a special teams guy.
And did he go? He ended up playing
went-
for Houston, right?
Yeah, our first game, and he had like a big special teams. We
Yeah, I know
tried
what
to
you're talking
slide him
about.
over.
I know what you're talking
And he
about.
actually played against his first game and just killed us.
Yeah.
Jason
Yeah, I know
Bell,
what you're talking about. Yeah.
UCLA.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That's all.
I think Bell is the right answer. Getterby shouldn't even count because he's a kicker. Like I mean, of course
I
he's
was
going to
about
have
to say,
a role.
don't ask me because, I mean, I know it's my job, but unfortunately, all my attention did go to the kicker and just because of his background. So that
The kicker's the kicker's probably the right answer because he's the only guy on this list that has a chance to start at his position.
Yeah,
But,
exactly.
How about these centers?
yeah, the centers are really interesting. Again, like the Cowboys just refuse to believe that they need another one for whatever reason. I don't know. Farniak's working at it. That's what we keep hearing. But, I mean, Alec Lindstrom was widely seen. I saw grades varying on him from 4th to 6th round. I mean, it's a guy that a lot of people expected to get drafted.
Coming out of what school?
Boston College.
Okay.
And then I don't know as much about James Empey from BYU. He's also a center. But, like, probably the best two centers that didn't get drafted are both here right now. So if one of them has a good camp, that makes a lot of sense. And then I was impressed isn't the right word, but like I just noticed a couple of the corners, Isaac Taylor Stewart out of Southern Cal and Quandre Mosley out of Kentucky. They're Dan Quinn DBs. Like they've got 33, 34 inch arms, something like that. And like you could just see them. They were poking at balls that a shorter guy wouldn't have been able to get to. And I was like, yeah, that you look like DBs that Dan Quinn would want to keep around and develop. And so maybe that means practice squad, but those are two guys that I noticed.
Maybe I'm dyslexic, but also 41 and number 14 stood out a lot. Is that Freifogel?
Freifogel.
From Indiana receiver.
Ty Freifogel.
He seemed to catch a lot of passes in the Saturday practice. So, again,
Freifogel.
Yeah.
Receivers
Got some names this year.
Receivers are good names to know because
they're only James Smith
not going to
out
have a
there
ton of
is-
them at training camp with this current makeup of the roster.
Yeah.
Who else stood out? He's not a rookie. Is that T.J. Vasher from Texas Tech last year? He was on the injured reserve all last year. He's like 6'6", and I mean
He's that big? I didn't realize he was that big.
He's enormous.
he's huge,
And he probably weighs less than me, despite being a foot taller than me, which
He could
I'm working on that. Don't worry about it.
Like he could probably dunk
Working
on a,
hard. Good job.
on a 12-foot goal.
He could probably what?
He could probably dunk on a 12-foot goal. He could probably go clean your shot clock for you if you needed that. I mean, he can jump. That's the skill set.
Find
he's
a place
got.
for somebody like that, right?
Well, and I mean, if you haven't seen the highlight catch that he made against Ole Miss in I don't know what year that
It was
was.
probably 2019.
2019, 18. I mean, ridiculous catch was the number. He said the other day he lost in the ESPY for that best play of the year to the Miami Patriots game where they were throwing the ball back and
The Hail Mary lateral play?
Yeah, and they beat Gronk at the end zone. That won the ESPY for best play. Like runner-up
He was nominated.
T.J. Vasher, one-handed catch.
Wow.
All I'm saying is that he does bring a skill set they don't have at receiver, or somebody that can just go up and elevate.
And size. They don't have that kind of size either.
But he's got to learn how to play. He's be around. He hasn't practiced too. I mean, when you're on IR all year, you don't practice. So he was been here. He just hasn't.
He's another guy that's like he's always in the building. He's always here. Like I said, I mean, I would be scared for him if he got hit over the middle by an NFL safety. Like he is rail thin. So, but yeah, he's very intriguing to watch just because it's a rare skill set.
Yeah.
And he jumped over a tackle dummy. Remember that?
He has. He did jump over.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, just wait till training camp. We have something.
We
in
don't
the
have
works.
some.
We have something in the works for that. So anytime you're watching Mickey Spagnola on the mic, just be ready because he might just come and jump over him. Oh yeah.
Is that what we're doing?
We're talking about. It was funny is that like Shannon was. We were talking about it. And Shannon was like, "Yeah, we got to get Mickey to do that. You know, like he's gonna do that to Mickey. It's like he could do that to you. He could do that to me."
Did we run this by legal and HR and everybody else?
We haven't run it by anybody yet.
Okay.
But
Let's have that discussion
I
off
don't
there.
think he's gonna touch anybody. I just think he's just gonna hurdle people.
All right. Let's take our first break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little schedule release. There was some interesting things in this schedule. I'm interested to hear these guys' opinions on what they think came out of the release of the Cowboys schedule. And in our final segment, we got a little see or no. We haven't done that in a while. Amber's got some questions lined up for us. Let's go to break. We'll be right back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching Grandma how to video call and teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man's Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
Back to the break.
All right, whether you're watching the game from your home or the stands, Esler Lenses is the best place to watch every exciting play. Book an appointment. Your local Esler experts find the perfect Esler lens for you. See more, do more, Esler.
Welcome back. It is the second segment of the break. We are live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star, and we got to do a little talk on the schedule release. Cowboys find out, I guess, the timing of when they're playing everyone. They knew all their opponents, but we did get the schedule from the NFL. It was released last week.
Great job on the video.
Oh, man, the team.
It was amazing.
I got to start with the social team because they came up with a phenomenal idea. And then people like Ben Fallon and Drew Ferguson and Connor, like all these guys that work in that you guys that are listening right now probably have never heard of, but they are the guys that are creating a lot of the content you see across our channels. They all did just a phenomenal job with this project, and I couldn't have been happier with the video. It was really well done, and I love the fact that it kept true to Stephen A. and also kept true to us, right? So it was a fun video. If you haven't seen it, you can go check it out on any of our channels. But it was a fun video.
Really, one of the most creative things that we've done, and
I
I thought it was outstanding. And whether he's nails on the chalkboard for a lot of people, just listening to him and whatever. But I have a little bit more respect for him for what able to do it and kind of poke fun at the whole situation because If you don't know it, it's definitely a bit. It reminds me of something out of WrestleMania for sure. But I mean, he's stuck to it. It was good.
One of the things I like about in sports in general is when people can take a step back and have a little fun with it, because I think we all have a tendency sometimes to get a little too serious about sports, but it is still sports. It still is entertainment. So I kind of like when people can take a step back, have a little fun, even if they poke a little fun at themselves, and I think that's a fun thing.
That flip in the middle of the thing to go from like Dallas to New York, I mean, that was sick.
Pretty good.
That was pretty good.
Pretty good. All right, so let's talk about the schedule release. I want to go around the table, and I want you guys to each give me two things. One, best thing about the schedule. Two, worst thing about the schedule. Let's start with you, Dave.
Ooh, best thing about the schedule.
Best thing about the schedule, worst thing about the schedule.
Oh, geez. I'll start. I'll start with. Sorry, Katie.
You sound like a.
I didn't do that on purpose. I don't know what is the best thing about the schedule.
I'll start.
Like,
right, Nick, you go
I'm not trying to make it sound like the NFL screwed the Cowboys, because I think this is a manageable schedule, but it's so much easier to look for the things that look hard than the things that look manageable. Yeah, Nick. I mean, go ahead if you got something.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing about the schedule. Now we'll see what it's like to get there. But you know, if you're not dying by Thanksgiving, then I think it's time to roll. I mean, Giants at home, Colts at home, Houston at home, at Jacksonville, Philly at home. I mean, you got to win those 5 games. Yeah. You could. I mean, you probably won't go 5-0. That's not the way the NFL works. But you should. You should be able to go 4-1, 5-0, regardless if what things look like there.
Well, that's a real. They should be favored in every game from Thanksgiving on. I mean, I guess you can't predict the future.
Maybe not at Tennessee, but
Indy and Tennessee are probably the two that you might not be favored. But you know,
Tennessee. I cut you off twice. I'm sorry, but I mean, for all the talking we do about the Cowboys taking a step back, like the Titans are a lesser team than they were last year. They've lost a decent amount of production. And Ryan Tannehill, probably his worst season since he got there last year. So I'm just saying, like, I'm not convinced that that's a better team.
You can't count on, I mean, same with Cowboys, anybody, but you can't just say, oh, well, they have Derrick Henry. Well, will they on December 29th? Because, I mean, that's what he does, is he runs the ball and runs the ball hard, and you just can't count on, you just don't know for sure that you'll have any
And I guess
back.
that's probably why, it's a wonderful point, like, on paper, here in May, they should be favored in their last 7 games. But, like, it's hard to even formulate an opinion about November and December NFL games. I mean, how many times have we joked like, man, in the spring, this looked like a sexy matchup, and instead we're watching Matt Castle go against whoever the other team's trotting out because their guy's hurt. So it's hard. But, yeah, the back end of the schedule looks very forgiving. Like, once you get done with that back-to-back road trip to Green Bay and Minnesota, everything else after that looks super manageable. It is interesting that they are giving them 2 different short weeks. Instead of doing the back-to-back Thursdays, they're going Thursday to or Sunday to Thursday and then Saturday to Thursday. So 2 different short weeks in the same month. Like, that sounds nerve-wracking to me. Mike McCarthy, he sort of seemed like he liked it. Maybe because they get the Saturday game, so they have a little extra time. I don't know. For me, the big thing is, like, you know, people love to talk about, like, Dak's record against playoff teams and whether they're actually as good when they play the good teams. Well, we don't have to wait very long to find out, because, I mean, it's a good bet, especially that early in the season. It's a good bet Tampa, Cincinnati, and L.A. are all going to have, you know, they'll be at full strength, and that's 3 of the last 4 Super Bowl teams that you have to play in the first 6 weeks of the season. So pretty good measuring stick opportunity there right at the very beginning.
Yep. Amber, best thing, worst thing about the schedule?
I don't know if best thing. I would say the most exciting thing for me is exactly seeing how it starts out the season. Those 2 teams to start back-to-back, you're starting with a bang. And like, it's going to say a lot. I say this, but we know how different it looks, like teams look from the beginning of the season to the second half of the season. So it's tough, but it's just going to be a big challenge. And I think that if they just run right through them, Tampa Bay and Cincinnati, it's going to be what?
Well, they run through them. I mean, we'll be talking about a parade. I mean, that's what happens.
Yeah, literally.
I hope not.
It's down.
No, I was
ready.
talking about the opposing team.
You mean
If they
if the Cowboys get run through?
Run through.
Yeah. Okay, I got you.
Hold on, I got a lot of questions.
We'll be starting the draft show. We'll be doing the draft show.
We'll be talking about Sean Payton. Sorry, that's what we'll be talking.
That's my concern, because I don't know how prepared they're going to be for the beginning of the season to start off against teams with that kind of level, and with so many questions that we currently have, so many young talents that the Cowboys are just completely betting on. I mean, you talk about all the rookies and second-year guys. That's going to be hard to start the season that way and not really allow them to get more than just those preseason games, to be playing an NFL-level game with all the veteran guys together. So it's just going to be a big challenge. And the good thing, or like, I don't underestimate anybody. The only thing that I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of a break, are the Giants. That's the only team that every year I'm just kind of like, be nice to have. If Blake Jarwin was here again, he always balls out in those kind of games against the Giants. But other than that, I am not saying anything else about nobody, manageable teams or not, or whatever. I've seen it happen. I buy into it. The Cowboys might win a game, and then they face off somebody else towards the end of the season that they're at a higher level, and then we see the reality of where the Cowboys really are at that time. So I'm not falling for it this year. I'm just going to let it happen, see how it starts out, and see what each team can bring, because we've seen it, I think, enough times now where the Cowboys can be their worst enemies. Like, they themselves make the mistakes and just don't go out and perform at a level that they should against the team that they should beat. So we'll see. I hear a lot of people saying the opponents can be manageable this season, and Dave just kind of went through all of them, but there's no telling.
It's a wonderful point. I mean, all you can do, I can look at this schedule and I can talk myself into, the only teams that I can't really talk myself into having a decent year are Chicago and Houston. I don't see a path to either of those teams being very good. Everybody else, you never know, man. I've brought this up.
Detroit might be better.
Detroit's got the makings of a pretty decent roster. Jacksonville, they've done a ton to help Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
New York, I wouldn't bet on New York being good, but maybe Daniel Jones finally puts it together. Again, I wouldn't bet on that, but crazier things have happened. I've made this point a million times since the schedule came out of, like, if nobody, not even me, Mr. LSU, would have been like, oh, Bengals, that's a tough one. That's the Super Bowl runners-up. This time last year, you're like, okay, the Bengals are sort of getting right, but like that's a game you should win. Yeah. And now a year later, you're like, man,
they're
that's
basically
a Super Bowl team.
how we look at Jacksonville at this point. Like, they got some talent, but they haven't really been a problem for anybody.
They
lately,
picked fifth in the draft last year. I mean, Amber, you're totally right.
You're totally right, but there's two sides to that, and you could make an argument that Tampa and Cincinnati, and at Green Bay, I think if Aaron Rodgers is there and everything that goes into that, that's obviously going to be a challenge. But I love it when people say, like, well, they'll probably start out 0-2. I'm like, I don't see that at all. They could, but I think it'll be a better chance that they start out 2-0 than they start out 0-2.
Really? Why?
Better chance. Just listen to the statement. There's a better chance that they start 2-0 than 0-2.
Why?
Well, Vegas will tell you that because they'll be favored in probably both games. They won't be. Yeah.
I don't think they'll be favored in those games.
You don't think they'll be favored at home? They'll be favored at home against Cincinnati.
Maybe. I don't think they'll be favored at home against Tampa Bay.
Well, I don't know. I don't know why they're not. And here's another thing: Tampa Bay. The wheels were falling off at the end of the year last year, and then he retires, and then he comes back, and I'm sure that they'll be fine. But like, they have their problems. They have their issues too. They got shut out 9-0 at home to the Saints. Like at the end of the year. The end of the year, they were struggling a little bit.
They were beat to hell too. They lost a lot of players like heading down that stretch. Just saying.
Yeah, and that's fine. I think they'll be favored in both those games. And Cincinnati did lose 7 games last year, so they got hot. They won these. Their defense is better than people think. Their kicker. They won these close games. You got to give them credit for that. But I don't think that it's automatic that they're world beaters now.
Well, you know how I look at it, or like how I feel with it is last year, and I remember you making the point like you feel that they would have won the game against Tampa had they had Zach Martin in the game. They would have had a better chance to finish off, and they were very, very competitive, and that's how they started out the season. Now it's more than a matter than just missing a veteran guy like Zach Martin. It's like you got so many different pieces in the roster, in the offense, even on defense. Like, it just looks different now, and you just don't have any clue of how it's all going to come together as one. Is the passing game going to be working out with the receivers that you've got? Is the running game even going to get going with the O-line that you're creating now? So it went from last year maybe having a missing piece to get you there to beat a team like Tampa to now having so many unknowns to where, yes, they could possibly go out there and impress all of us, but I can't see them being favorites.
I think they will be. I mean, I think they'll be the favorite in that game, maybe by 1 or 2. But, I mean, because just on neutral
probably
side,
also have something to do with what happens in week 1, right? For both those teams. Whatever happens in week 1 will probably affect what that line is in week 2.
I just don't see him being. I don't see him losing 2 home games in a row like that. Especially both of them. Well, one of them at night. Yeah, I don't know.
It's the Cowboys. They'll start 1-1.
Yeah.
They'll figure out a way to get one. Yeah.
DraftKings actually has the odds out if you guys want them.
What are the odds for those 2 games right now?
So right now Tampa is favored by 2.5, and then the Cincinnati game is actually a pick'em.
Okay.
Sounds about right.
So that sounds about right. Yeah, that sounds about right. And then whatever happens week 1 will affect that line for week 2, I would think. So
I certainly think 0-2 is possible.
Yeah,
I would be. Yeah, they'll be 1-1 like they always are.
I mean, that's why, when you look at this, there's about 2 or 3 games that are like really, really big swing games. At the Giants is a big one because if they are probably going to be 1-1. You got to go up there and you got to take care of business there. I see that Minnesota game on November 20th. After Green Bay, you're about to go 3 straight home games and Thanksgiving and all that. Like, that's a really big game, just to kind of see where you stand there. So, Minnesota, Giants. I mean, there's others, but those are the ones that I could see where this whole thing could kind of swing based off of them. Mm-hmm. Maybe at Philly.
That's the other thing. I mean, their track record against the division with Dak speaks for itself. I mean, I'll take that. I still think. Well, that kind of goes with what I'm going to say. I still think they're probably the favorites to win the division, but man, that gap looks a lot closer than it did. No, I don't think the world of Jalen Hurts, but the Eagles have put a heck of a good roster around him. Giants, I still don't. I don't believe in Daniel Jones, so I don't think they're very good. But they clearly have upgraded the talent on their team. I don't trust Carson Wentz either, but he had other than the meltdown in Jacksonville, he had a pretty nice season for the Colts. Like he's capable.
Horrible.
He's capable of. I think he threw 26 touchdowns and 7 picks. Like he was fine. And if there's a good team around him, Washington should be good enough to try to make some noise. Again, I still like Dallas's chances, but they're not. I would be shocked if they swept the division they did last year.
Yeah, I agree.
They went 6-0, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
I don't expect that this year.
I think it's more like 3 or 4 this year.
Yeah.
In the division.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's go ahead and take our final break. When we come back, we got a game of See or No. We'll do that when we come right back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with...
And I'm Jay Novacek, and we're both with...
United Ag and Turf, the official tractor provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
So, if you need a tractor to bale some hay, a mower to cut some grass, or a gator to get some chores done...
Get a John Deere at United Ag and Turf.
And then, let's get to work.
Hey, Jay, that's my line.
Well, not today.
Get to work with a John Deere tractor package that's just right for you and your budget. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys, and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching grandma how to video call and teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar. And a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere. And a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
Back to the break.
Cowboys Nation, the 9th annual Reliant Home Run Derby is back at Riders Field in Frisco on June 7th at 6:30 p.m. Come see your favorite Cowboys players swing for the fences to raise money for the Salvation Army. Free admission to all. See you there. Visit DallasCowboys.com/fans/Reliant. Just go to the website and search.
I tweeted it out, so just,
yeah.
You all right, Nick?
Yeah.
You got a little frustrated with that read. Like, what are we doing?
Gotta do everything.
Just so you know, here's some of the players that are going to be out there. Dak, Zeke, Zach, CD, Tyron, Leighton, Trayvon Diggs, Micah, Jordan, Anthony Brown. Like they got all the top line guys, it seems like, that are going to be out there taking part in this thing. So
the way you said that so fast.
That's what I said.
Micah Jordan.
Micah Jordan.
Yeah, it should be a great event. If you have kids, it's a really great event. You have opportunity to go out there. You can take pictures. Kids can take pictures with Rowdy. DCC will be out there doing pictures. They got the drum line out there, dancers. Like, it's going to be like a big event for kids and for families to be able to have some fun. I was actually out at that ballpark last week for another event. It's a really cool site. Yeah. It's a really cool place. So if you haven't been out there, go check it out. It'll be a cool event to take part in coming up here on the 7th of June. Was it 7th? 9th of June. All right, let's jump back in.
No, you're right. June 7th.
June 7th. That's what I thought. Okay.
It was the 9th.
June 7th. June 7th is when you got to check that out. All right, Amber, let's get a little see or no.
All right. Let's see how many questions we can get through. Sam Williams is a starter at defensive end week 1 against Tampa Bay. See or no?
No.
All right.
That was easy. Good
that was easy.
Primer. Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing about him. I don't think it's necessarily about him. It's just he's a rookie.
It is about him. He's a rookie and not ready to be a starter.
That's what I'm saying. He's a rookie.
It is about him.
Well, what I mean by that is it doesn't mean he's not going to be a good player.
Sure.
It just means right now he's a rookie, and they got
especially
guys they trust
week
more.
1.
Yeah, they got guys they trust more to put out there. Yeah.
All right. Based on the new additions like Williams, Clark, Ridgeway, will our defense do better against the run?
I think so. I mean, you would hope to have some improvement there. I mean, who did they lose? Randy Gregory, Keanu Neal,
Urban, who they lost halfway through the season.
He didn't play a whole lot, anyways. I don't think you were looking at guys that were stopping the run much anyway.
Yeah.
So I see just improvement. They should be improved. Neville Gallimore didn't play most of the season. He's a big body in there. I think if he's back and Odigizua. I mean, he will be back. I'm just saying, if he plays a lot with Odigizua, I think they have a chance to be better. I would imagine they'd be better more than worse.
Were they atrocious? I'm sorry for not remembering this off the top of my head.
I think they had some games where they were like, man, what they're just.
Yeah, no, they definitely had. I mean, the San Francisco game was. I don't know if I would say
overall, but I think there were games where you just kind of like, man, this is bigger.
They were middle of the pack on the season, and they got picked on a few times.
Yeah.
I'll say C.
Yeah. I think they'll be better.
Yeah.
I think that was mainly the area of improvement. I would say that we were kind of discussing when you look at the defense. When you looked at the defense overall last year, in everything that they got better at, the run game, like stopping the run, was the main area where they kind of did show their weakness.
But I mean, they were atrocious in 20 though. I mean, they were 31st.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I guess the reason I'm being reluctant is I don't see a huge jump, but I don't think they'll be worse. I mean, if you have Neville healthy, Osa taking another step, adding some veteran guys, having DeMarcus Lawrence healthy for more of the year. People can roll their eyes at his ability in run defense all they want, but it's real. I think they'll be better.
All right, Micah Parsons, will he have his sophomore slump year? See or no?
12 sacks will be a slump.
I hate the phrasing, because the bar is so high.
Yeah.
Like, will it be a slump if he has 80 tackles and 8 sacks with an interception? Like, that sounds like a pretty great year to me. I mean, I'd be shocked if he beats his rookie sack total, just because that's a high bar.
Big number.
No, he's not going to slump in the sense that I'll be shocked if we're sitting here in December like, man, where's the Micah from 21? Like, what happened to this guy? Like, he will be a good player. He might not statistically match what he did last year, but
he's going to go into every game this year, unlike every game last year, with teams saying, number one person we got to deal with is Micah Parsons. So he's got to adjust to that, which means his numbers probably won't be the same as they were last year because he's going to be the target.
Which is why, and that alone is why when you say, people think he should rush all the time or where he should be coming from. I think it gives more value to be able to play linebacker and rush from different spots because you can say that all you want to, but that's exactly what you want your quarterback to do at every single snap is to find him, look for him, and try to figure out, maybe we adjust things. And now that means that instead of doing, we do what we do, no, you're not. You're doing what number 11 is wanting you to do.
And you can push them into bad situations by making them adjust to you and where you are. Yeah. And so they have to choose. They have to say either we're going to do this that puts us at a disadvantage to be able to stop Micah, or we're going to just let Micah do his thing. And that's where you can really put teams in bad situations.
I think there's a chance that he could have even a better year. But it's going to be hard with the numbers. But he can have.
Yeah, I wonder if. I bet the Cowboys would gladly take fewer sacks from Micah if it means that Dante Fowler is getting a one-on-one with a lesser player as often as possible. That's how you up the numbers for everybody else. And that's what makes him so valuable. And that's why when they drafted him, I was like, if he's more than just an off-ball linebacker, I like the pick a lot more than I do right now. And that's if you're playing a Rashawn Slater or like some tackle that can take anybody away, then you just move him. You don't have to beat your head against the wall with a player like Micah Parsons. You move him to maximize his impact. So I would be very impressed if he statistically tops what he did last year. But he's going to be the focal point and the reason why the defense is successful.
Yeah, and with that being said, definitely not a slump here.
No.
What that would look like.
He's not. He's going to have a great year. I would be surprised if he doesn't.
Will the Cowboys be using Pollard more this season?
Show me.
Yeah.
No.
I'm going to say no.
Show me.
Until I see it, I'm not going to buy it.
Believe it till I see it.
I'm done. Maybe if they do this and that and the other, maybe he can get 10 touches in a game. No, just do it. I don't care. Can he be the punt returner? I talked about I think we answered it in the mailbag the other day.
Is he I know there are different skills between a kick returner and punt returner. Does he have that thing that punt returners have?
I don't know. He's never done it.
Yeah, I know that's what I'm asking. I'm trying to say, do you think he has that kind of thing?
He's got juice when the ball is in his hands. Yeah. I know that. I would tell him to spend the summer with the jugs machine because we know they don't. CD's not going to do it as much. I'm sure he will still return some punts, but he's not going to be their primary guy because that was a way to get him touches when he was the third receiver. Is this is 6 extra touches a game for a guy that might struggle otherwise. That's not going to be an issue anymore. He's number one, so he doesn't need to be doing all that. And quick, who's the next guy in line behind him? McCarthy even said that during rookie camp. He was like, all options are on the table, and I was like, I don't love the sound of that. I don't love the thought that you don't really have a guy you feel good about. I don't like that.
The thing about punt returners to me is you just don't know until you get them back there if they can do it because it is. You got to be fearless and a bit crazy to be a punt returner because the guys are coming at you a lot faster. They're on top of you a lot quicker. You got to make a split-second decision sometimes on whether you're going to fair catch it or whether you're going to take off with it. There's a lot that goes in there. And when you're kicking, you got a little more time to kind of feel what's going on. And worst-case scenario, you let it go through the end zone, right? And so it's just, I think it's a lot different mentally for the guy that's going to be returning a punt.
Worst case scenario is you not getting over there in time at the 18-yard line to get it, so you just let it go and then it rolls to the 2. Yeah. That's the worst. I mean, that's
punt return. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Tony has displayed some questionable judgment at times as the kick return.
I don't know if he's got that. But I don't know.
I'm not saying he would be like an all-pro, but he's got juice and he's got the ability to make people miss. And if he can do it, that's a way to get him 4 or 6 more touches a game that they refuse to give him as a running back.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to problem solve here. If they don't want to listen to me, that's fine.
Hey, do you think there's any shot whatsoever that CeeDee Lamb is returning punts this year?
I wouldn't do it. I got asked this the other day. I wouldn't do it, not because of him being the starter. I don't think he's that great at it. Like, I mean, when has he just been like so dynamic? It's like, oh my God, CD back there, like don't kick it to him. I mean, like if I'm Miami Dolphins, I mean Tyreek Hill's doing it. I mean, yeah, he's your number 1 receiver, but he's doing it. Or Deshaun Jackson did it. Those guys, they're awesome and they can play their position. But I just don't think CD is worth the risk because I haven't seen him just be that dynamic. He's okay, but he's not like, watch out, don't go to the bathroom because they're about to punt the CD.
What do you think about a guy like Trayvon Diggs?
No.
You don't want to see it, or no, you don't think he'd be good at it?
I think he'd be great at it. I don't want to see it. I don't want like that. I mean, and I'm in favor of receivers doing it if they're good at it. You typically have other receivers that can fill in if you get hurt, like a lockdown franchise cornerback. It's hard to come by. I just don't love the idea of risking that.
Don't say it.
What? No, I want you to go.
I know Dion did it.
I know.
I know Dion did it.
Like, don't. Yeah. Like,
it's been 30 years since Dion was in his prime. Like it's a different.
Nobody.
Different
Are there
world.
the corners back? I'm trying to think of another cornerback in the league that's done it.
There's not a lot of guys that do it like that. Like from a cornerback standpoint. Yeah.
CD averaged 10 yards per attempt. He only had 3 more returns than Cedric last year. My answer is that I bet he'll do it, but it won't be a weekly occurrence. That's just my guess. But I don't know who it's going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, who's your sure-handed guy? That's like, okay, put him back there. This is not the ball's at midfield. It's not going to be returned.
If he
can Tolbert do it? Has Tolbert done it in college? What? Why
McCarthy asked. This might not have been his fault. I mean, they don't have a punt returner. McCarthy made every skill player field kicks and punts during rookie camp. He's basically like, let's just see how all these guys look tracking and catching the ball. Tolbert's rep got caught up in the wind, and it just landed like 8 yards to the right of him. Like he mistracked it or lost where it was in the sun. I don't know what happened, but
yeah, let's keep him at receiver.
It hit the ground like it wasn't even close to him, and I was like, "Did you lose it? Like you didn't even really look like you knew where it was." Yeah, maybe he's better at it, but it was just funny that because. Everybody's going to watch when the 3rd-round pick receiver. Like nobody cares about the tight end that's doing it.
Because he actually has a chance to be on the team.
When Tolbert came up for his rep, it was like, all right, let's see what you go. Okay, all right, who's up next? Yeah. Maybe though. Maybe he could.
All right.
I think we have time for one more. I'll let you guys choose a semi-easy question or a spicy one. Caliente.
Spicy.
Let's go
Caliente.
spicy. You only live once.
Okay. This is the last season we have with Mike McCarthy, Dan Quinn, and Kellen Moore.
That's not spicy. That's
all 3? All I have to say is no.
I mean,
or C.
There's an easy way out of it. You know, you could say, Kellen Moore got a job, and
there's
then
no way all 3 of them are coaching here in 2023.
There's no way because. If it goes well to the point where Mike McCarthy stays, then that means those other 2 have done their job, and they're going to probably go get head coaching jobs because they were on the doorstep of doing it last year. And if it doesn't go real well at all, then it could be 0 for 3. But I mean, there's a better chance of 0 for 3 than a 3 for 3.
Yeah, there's way better chance that none of them are here next year than all of them. I think because maybe not so much Kellen Moore. I don't know, but like it's the upset of the decade that Dan Quinn stayed, right? Like Jerry had to dig into the pocketbook
Made
and
it happen.
some other awkward things happened along the way. And if the defense is good again this year, especially with another, you got another high profile draft pick and Sam Williams to work with, like, there's no way they can keep him twice.
I think if this team does exactly what they did last year, then I think Jerry will mix it up. I think Jerry will make some changes if they do exactly what they did last year. Which means if they get to the playoffs and they lose in round one, I think so. You get beyond that. Now it's the scenario you guys are talking about. Then it's a situation where those other two guys become more of a commodity on the open market to be able to go and be head coaches.
How bad does it need to get for something like that to happen? Mid-season type of change.
Let me show you something right here. November 13th. Nick knows this well. Middle of the season, you go to Green Bay.
Stop it.
I'm just saying, like you got a rough first part of the season.
No, I tell you the one to look at there is October 23rd.
What's that?
It's home against Detroit because if the first 6 games have not gone well, those 6 games are going to be tough. I mean, the two easy ones are both division games in the middle.
Yep.
So let's say it's 2 and 4. Let's say it's worse than that.
Yeah.
And then you lose to Detroit. Okay, well then now you got problems.
So then what would happen is, depending on what, really I would say maybe it's Chicago.
Well,
because you're about to go into a bye too. Like
Jerry makes the statement on the fan twice that says, "Well, what's going on after Detroit?" And then we head into the Bears game, and there's all this speculation, and then that goes bad.
Yeah, then that's where you get.
Then everybody's bye week,
and then the website goes down. Like that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened.
Don't say that. Don't mess up my bye week.
That's exactly what happened.
True, we won a vacation on the bye week.
Wait, how is Wade the only midseason firing of the Jerry era? Did he wait to the?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's to answer.
Well, head coach.
That's what I mean.
Don't forget that offensive.
No. I'm talking about head coach, not Paul Alex.
That was a
the bottom would have to truly drop out. Like you would have to legitimately be out of the playoff race by Halloween, I think, for that to happen.
But that's one of the things that I don't like about the schedule, and I was when I asked that first question about what you like and what you don't like about the schedule, one of the things that I immediately noticed was not only how tough it is at the beginning of the season, but that actually lines up when Dallas we know they will be shorthanded. We know they won't have their probably second receiver for at least those first couple games. And so when you start talking about, Nick, when you were talking about they'll probably be favored in those 2 games, I'm like, man, I don't know. Like, I was hoping that they would actually backload the schedule. Give me some easy games at the beginning of the season when I'm a little shorthanded, and then let me work into getting those guys ready. And by the end of the season, maybe I'm ready to face Tampa Bay, Cincinnati, and the Rams. That's where I'm a little bit concerned about the schedule.
This was a year that you were hoping for a Giants opener?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, it's funny because that's what I go back to is like, I don't think the team is better on paper. I've said it a million times. Like, I don't think they're better than they were last year. And I think the expectation is somehow even higher. Like, I don't think there is.
Because of how it ended last year?
Yeah. Like, one and done ain't going to make anybody happy, including the owner. But they're not better than they were last year. So buckle up. Like, that it's going to be an interesting season when you consider that. It's like, well, we kind of gave you less to work with, but we want you to do more with it. Have fun. That's a weird spot to be.
Yeah.
It comes down to that question about Micah Parsons and the sophomore slump. If he had a sophomore slump, that's terrible. If he's about what he was, then we'll see what happens. But if he takes a next step, if he's better, which he could be, because this guy he says he loves football. He studies it all the time. I mean, he wants to get better. He's really hungry at it. I think he's becoming more of a leader. If he takes a next step in that direction, and he's way better than what he was, then, I mean, you have a chance. I mean, you're going to be in every game.
And speaking of being better, that's actually where I expect him to grow this year. I expect him to come in the year. Well, what I want, I should say. What I want is him to come in here and make this entire defense better because of his attitude. We've seen how throughout the history of the NFL, there are certain players that have an ability because of not only their play, but also how they hold other people accountable to make the entire defense better around them. I think he's one of those kind of players that if he can be that type of voice, where he can be that alpha that's like holding people accountable and making sure everybody's playing up to a certain standard, playing up to his standard. I think that's where you can see this defense now make a big jump, because we all know it's hard. Dave, I think you tweeted this earlier today about how hard it is to replicate a good defensive season. That's not an easy thing to do, to sustain that. But I do think if they have any hope of doing that, it's going to come from Micah Parsons making everybody better.
Well, Jerry also thinks that they're going to get Micah-like production from this draft class too. So
okay,
maybe we'll be sitting here talking about
they did it last year.
Tyler Smith as the new Zach
I don't
Martin.
think anybody was expecting what came from Micah to come from Micah. Not to say he wouldn't be a good player, but I don't think anybody expected what they got. So let's see. Let's see where that goes.
Like Dave said, buckle up. Buckle up for this ride because it's going to be bumpy.
It's going to be fun. As usual.
It's like when you're in the roller coaster and the guy comes by and pushes the bar down and you're like, this feels a little loose. Can you come tighten this thing for me? I don't know how I feel about this. This thing does a loop-to-loop, right? Like, can you come secure this a little tighter for me?
I can still move it a little bit.
That's how I feel right now.
All right. Appreciate you guys joining us. We'll be back next week. We'll talk more. Till then, for Nick Eatman, Dave Hellman, Amber Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!